very special extra live broadcast from Wild Ginger Running, I am thrilled to say that I am here with somebody very special. He is the author of already 3 fantastic trail running books, and tonight we are launching his 4th, the outstanding All or Nothing at All, the life of Billy Bland. Let me present to you Steve Chilton. Hey Steve.
Hi there, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just about to crack a bottle of beer to celebrate the launch of the book. So join me in a drink.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to join you in some beer as well. So we will.
I've got a bottle just for Billy. It's a Trappist beer, which you may know if you like beer, made by monks. He has some monkish characteristics, as we may find out.
A monkish lifestyle, yeah. We'll find out what time he goes to bed in a little bit. It's fantastic to have you on here tonight, Steve. I'm really thrilled that you wanted to launch the book through Wild Ginger Running YouTube channel. So should we just start with anybody who's kind of unfamiliar with the world of trail running? Who is Billy, and why have you chosen to dedicate a book to his story?
Right, well, trail running is really simply running up and down mountains, and it's something that's been going on for many years, and it was often in the early days in the North Yorkshire, Lancashire and the Lake District areas. Billy was the person who came along when it was becoming more popular, more races, and basically he was the dominant force in trail running for way over a decade, and he set some records that still stand now. So he's got a really good Palmares and some fantastic performances, but also a very interesting character. And I think the reason I wanted to write the book, because I wanted people to know more of that character. And I hope that I've reached into that character and found the heart of the man by writing this book.
Yeah, well, I've started reading the book and I'm about halfway through. I did skip to all the amazing pictures, some of which I'll be showing in a minute. But yeah, absolutely fascinating history, such a character. And it's interesting, the cover line. First of all, we have a question from Chloe, who's one of my patrons, and she says she would like to know how Steve chose the title. Is all or nothing at all, like maybe it's a mantra of Billy's or something?
No, it's quite strange actually. I'm a massive Bruce Springsteen fan, and it's the title of a Bruce Springsteen song, and it kind of, just to me, it summed up the character that I was writing about. Billy is very binary in the sense he either does it and does it really well, or he won't go there. And he's very much, his training, his racing, his lifestyle was all or nothing at all, and it just seemed to fit the subject. And then I did that, and then I realised a lot of Springsteen songs were good for chapter titles. So when you get the book, you'll see about him. One's called Growing Up, the song Growing Up from Springsteen. My Hometown, Seeds, A Man's Job. All the title chapters are Springsteen songs, which is, I just think it's a rather cool thing to acknowledge. Someone who helped me a lot when I was travelling up and down the M6 to interview Billy was listening to Bruce Springsteen.
Ah, that's really cool. I didn't notice that at all, because I like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not particularly like a massive fan or anything, so I don't know that. That's really cool. Is Billy also a massive fan of Bruce Springsteen?
No, I don't think he is, but he did tell me as part of his things, he went to watch the Kinks in Keswick at the height of their fame.
Wow.
Or on the way up at a very small venue in Keswick. So he has musical credentials.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll have to ask him later, as he might be making a guest appearance if we can get the Wi-Fi to work in Borrowdale Valley, where Billy obviously lives. He is hopefully going to be joining us for a little bit of a chat in about roughly 5 or 10 minutes time. So hang on in there, and we will hopefully be hearing from Billy. But first of all, a little bit more about you, Steve. So you've already written 3 books. Let me just get those up on the screen now for everybody to have a look. So you've written the first one. If you don't know much about trail running, definitely get this book. It's a general, very comprehensive history of trail running. It's a hill, get over it. Then there's The Round, also about the Bob Graham Round, which Billy is obviously very affiliated with, having held the record for 36 years before Kilian Jornet came over and broke it in 2018. So that's also about The Round and Bob Graham himself. And then there's Running Hard, which is just a spectacular trail running rivalry between John Wilde and Kenny Stewart. So with those under your belt, Steve, how hard or maybe easy was it to write this one compared to all the others?
Well, it's interesting because somebody pointed out to me that my books have got narrower in subject as I go through. The whole of the sport, part of the sport, the round, 2 people, and now down to 1. But to me, and also it's a kind of change. All the other 3 are really histories of the sport and histories of aspects of the sport. This is a traditional biography, and it is actually quite difficult to write a biography of a living person. It's even more difficult to write a biography of someone as your hero, and he very much is and was my hero. So it was a difficult thing, but I just thought, well, he deserves it. He is such an icon in the sport and in the area that he deserves it. I actually pitched his subject matter to my publisher first off, and they said, no market, too narrow. It was taking 3 books selling quite well for them to accept that there is a market, and it has already sold well. So that's how the thing came about. And then I had to persuade Billy to actually do it. I needed his cooperation, and that didn't come easy, I might say.
Yeah. Tell me about that. How hard was that? Because he's not very, he would never be one to kind of pronounce about his deeds or his amazing achievements or anything. He's very modest, isn't he?
He is, and I don't know that my first attempt was successful. I went up the valley, spoke to him and Anne, his wife, and he said, well, if I say something, I mean it. I might offend people. I've got strong opinions. You may not want these opinions. You may not want to write this book. And I went away deflated. I thought, well, I've got to be careful here. I don't want to tread on difficult ground. I don't want to offend people. And then I thought about it. I said, no, I can do that. I can actually get the story of him, get his interests, get his background, and write a really good story. And went back and tried again. And he came round on the 3rd attempt, I think it was. And I will probably ask him when he comes on how it's been answering all these personal questions about his lifestyle and his family and issues that he has. But it's been a fantastic route, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that will be a really interesting question to ask him. I really hope that the Wi-Fi works. And so a bit later on, you are going to read a little bit about the book. You're going to read a little bit from the book, I should say. But do you want to tell us a little bit about your favourite part of the book? Like, no spoilers or anything. We do want people to read the book. But yeah, are there any kind of particular favourite parts that you had?
Well, to be honest, my favourite thing about the book was there's 2 favourite things. One is the range of topics that we managed to cover, because people may not know all his working background. They may not know that he's an absolutely high-quality stonemason. They may not know that he worked in the quarry at Hollister for 10 years. They may not know that he was a weatherman for many years, actually taking weather recordings out on site. They may not know his interest in nature and how it's been nurtured over the years, and how that's produced some of the strong views he has about nature, and what he feels about the World Heritage status and the things that happen in Borrowdale. So I think it's all that extra stuff that people who may know a lot about his running may not know about. That's what interests me about where we've gone with the book. And the other really good thing, and this is a credit to my wife Moira, is that she did some pen and ink drawings to illustrate each chapter. And they kind of pick up a theme of what's in that chapter, and have illustrated each chapter, and they're just fabulous illustrations that just add to the look and the feel of the thing. So all credit to Maura, my wife, for doing those.
Yeah, I've just popped one of those up on the screen. It's really beautiful. Like, she has such an intricacy to her work. You can really get a feel for it through those pen and ink drawings there, and I think that's lovely.
Or not?
It's Nook Farm.
Okay, that's where Billy was born. Yeah, and if you can see the Nook Farm sign, he actually made that out of slate at some point, and it's his work, the signage outside the house. So yeah.
Lovely. Oh, that's awesome. It's fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him later, and so are a lot of people on the live chat. I'm just Steve, to give you a bit of a flavour of who's watching live just now. I'm just going to read out some nice comments from people. So we've got John Airy says evening, and Philip Haddock says hi as well. Edward Price is here. He says hi, Steve. Guy says hi all as well. Ruth is here as well. Sandstone Press are actually watching, so Sandstone Press are the publishers, and they say happy publication day to you as well. Guy wants to know if we'll be doing an audio version. Yes, this will be available as a extra special podcast, so people can listen to it on the run as well if they don't have time to listen to it just now. And Guy also wants to know, do you foul run, Steve? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your running background?
Yes, I don't now, unfortunately. I've got a body that's falling apart fairly fast around me. But yes, I was a very keen trail runner, and I've done quite a few of the classics, and ones like Snowdon, Fairfield, some of those. And yes, I was a mid-pack but very keen trail runner. Started from a road running background, marathoning, and then decided I did a lot of hill walking, and I thought, why not just run some stuff? So yeah, I did a lot of running when I was at my what you might call a peak, although it's a very low level peak of fitness. So yeah, I've always been very keen on it, and I've followed the sport and knew Billy as a hero that I never expected to be sitting in his front room and taking notes for a book on him, and that's just been one of the most marvellous things. So yeah, it's come full circle really.
Fantastic, and I'll be asking you a little bit about any plans that you can share with us after Billy comes on. Yeah, we just got time for a couple more questions before we try to get Billy onto the live chat. So yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about what it was like in Borrowdale when Billy was growing up? I mean, it was the 50s. Was electricity even there yet? So yeah,
No.
Could you just paint a little picture for us?
Well, so he was born on a farm, no electricity for the first 13 years of his life, born into a farming background, and basically a lot of freedom. They just, if you know Borrowdale, there's a plunge pool at Grange, at the bridge at Grange, and that would be somewhere where they'd just go wild swimming. And it wasn't called wild swimming; it was just going for a swim, but unsupervised. You know, there was a lot of times when they'd just be out doing stuff, playing, and he was a very keen footballer when he was younger as well. So, but he lived the valley life, and certainly didn't go very far. And his parents were not well off, and he had a very not tough, but he wasn't in a position to have foreign holidays and just live the natural life of someone who lived in a lovely valley like that, and eventually started running up and down the hills.
Yeah, and from reading the book, I can see that some of his family weren't too impressed with him running up and down the hills. They just thought, oh, he's just, he's shirking out of work and responsibilities and helping on the farm, that kind of thing. Was foul running quite something that was kind of just frowned on as a bit of a leisure activity in those days? Was it a bit silly?
Yeah, very much so. I think also almost to the point where training was frowned on. If you look at the things that people like Roger Bannister used to do, you weren't supposed to train like people now train, and he didn't in those early days. But yeah, he got told off by his family on more than one occasion for being on the hills rather than helping on the farm.
Well, talking of his family, I'm just about to message Andrea, his daughter, just now to see if we can get them going on the live chat here with us. So we did have a practice of this yesterday and it did work, so I'm hoping that Billy will appear very shortly. Okay, so I can see him on mine. Let me just see if I can add him on here. Let me add him. Oh, there he is fully. And we are both in here as well. So let me just get Billy into the middle. That would be the best place for him to be. Oh, I'm in the middle, never mind. Hey Billy, how are you doing? Can you hear us?
All right, Claire.
Hey.
Yep, the things you get me into.
Hey. Can you see Steve as well?
No, we can only see a picture, no graphic.
Never
we
mind.
can hear though.
Brilliant, that's awesome. So the first thing that I want, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, Billy. It's great to see you again. Have you had a good day?
We had a good day.
Yeah, all right. Been out on my bike and Yeah, we'll get another ride tomorrow and get me 8,000 this year, 1,000 a month, so that keeps me sane, I think. Well,
Yeah.
that's my argument.
So you do a lot of bike riding these days. As we know, I've been riding with you, and you are a monster, quite frankly. But I just going back to the whole running days. I just wanted to ask you what you thought about this amazing T-shirt from Kong Running. Can you see it there? The picture of you going over the style. What do you think about the T-shirt? And they had a poster of it as well, didn't they?
Yeah, well, background to that was it was a professional race at, I think I was 19 at the time, and it was at Patterdale, top of Harness and Craig and back, just straight up and down, and that was me coming over the fence at the finish. I think there's been a bit of criticism of a fella climbing a fence. Well, that's how it was then. That was the route. 50 yards from the start line, over the fence, straight up the fell, back over the fence again. So it would be frowned upon now, climbing the fence, so how things change.
Yeah. And so is that one of the races that you won?
First one?
The first, yeah.
The first one that you won? Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
Actually,
and what do you think of the T-shirt? Because it's a little bit naughty, isn't it?
sorry Claire, I didn't catch that.
T-shirt's a bit naughty.
Well, Paul rang me up to see if he could use the picture in an advert. He didn't tell us what he was, how he was going to use it. And I said, I mean, if I can help anybody, then I'll help them. And then that's what kind of amusing, at least. Some people think it is, some might be offended by it, but so what? Couldn't give a toss. I'm 73 and I don't care what anybody thinks.
Awesome. Well, the main thing is that you like it. I loved it. I bought one immediately. This is my one. But I run a monthly competition, and there's one in the monthly competition, as is a book from Steve, All or Nothing, Nothing at All, your book, Billy. So there's a signed copy of that in the competition as well. So, Billy, I want you to be totally honest. Was it good or bad having a book written about you?
Was it good or bad having a book written about you?
Oh, we don't think about it at first, and I'm still not sure, but it's out, and like I say, if I can, I'm sure anybody will be that interested in, please yourselves, buy it if they want.
There is a lot of people interested though, Billy. It's selling really well, and I'm just pleased that you cooperated and worked with me on it, because it was an experience, I must say, just going through your life and your opinions and your activities. It was a fabulous experience working with you.
Do you think it was a fabulous experience working with Steve, Billy?
Steady.
Like I say, if somebody wants to do something and I have no good reason to say no, then we'll see how it turns out anyway.
Yeah. And Steve was
Can I
just...
ask you a question, Claire?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Billy? You recently went out supporting a friend on a leg 4 Bob Graham round. How did that go?
Well, last weekend, are you talking about?
Yeah.
How did it go?
Yeah, how were
Did you
you?
say?
Yeah.
Bloody awful. Bloody awful. I'm not up to it anymore. Coming downhill, I've got a hip that bothers me, and I come down, and then it transfers into my knee. So it was all right for kind of, and then I started coming down pillar, and the bugger started to hurt, and then it was even worse coming up.
It's breaking up a bit.
And worse coming off there, it was like a bloody old woman coming down. So
Old man.
I got a bit grumpy at that end.
Did it bring back some interesting memories coming down into Honister of the day you had to stop on your own round?
I didn't bonk, but I think I come down fast
After that time, yeah.
bonk, and I did this time. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay.
no, I set up there, and I could absolutely, in my own mind's eye, see it all before I got there. And there's a couple of little springs the back of Scott fell, and I walked straight to them. I mean, it's just all in there from the days you've been over it. So aye, nothing new, but pretty old legs don't work like they used to.
Well, what I recall so well talking to you is how your recall of races and events was so strong, and memories of where checkpoints were on mountain marathons, for instance, and you know, who'd overtaken you where in a particular race in a particular year. You've got a phenomenal memory of those events, which is fantastic for an author.
You got good memory.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you set off in races and you were going around the course, then and you were going to be in front, then you needed to do your homework. And I actually think I had a bit of a knack for a memory of ground anyway. I don't know whether that's bred in you or what. The generations of people who are brought up in lakes. I don't know, but anyway. It's like anything else. If you're really interested in something, then you're better at it than somebody who's just half interested in it. So.
Yeah. And Billy, have you got a record that you're most proud of?
No, well, I'm beginning to think where things are panning out just pretty crap anyway. Yeah.
Oh, say that again. I'm really sorry it broke up. Can you say that bit again?
Well, I'm beginning to think that, I've maybe thought for years that Borrowdale was quite a good record and Wastel was a good record, but by God, I'm having a bit of a rethink now. I just kind of think that I should have applied myself a bit better, because they're going to get beat, aren't they?
I don't know. Just don't tell Killian that you've done the Wasdale and the Borrowdale record. You still hold them from the 80s.
Maybe you should have done more training then, Billy.
That's right. Yeah, maybe the bloody work got into way, yeah. So, but anyway, you had to make a living, haven't you?
Yeah. Less work, more training.
Yeah, just hobbies. Just a hobby. And
Billy, what was it like meeting Killian when he broke the record and seeing him on the way round? Was it an exciting day for you, or was it a little bit bittersweet?
Yeah, very much so. Like the man, he came to see us before he had an attempt, and I wasn't in, I was out on my bike, but he took the trouble to come back and speak to us beforehand, and really took to him. He's just one of us. We do it because we like it, never mind what you achieve at the end of it. Basically we do it because we like it, and no, real good fella. Pleased to see him get the record. I expected he would if he was as good as they said he was. Took him a long time to come over, mind, but anyway, pleased he did come, and pleased he's got it. And who knows, someday somebody will, if the trainer's hard as Killian and have the background that he's got, then I do think it's open to quite a lot of people. But you've got to apply yourself like he did. If you want to be as good as he is, then it won't happen by accident. You'll have to work at it.
Well, you paid him a really good compliment, which is quoted in the book, saying that if you trained hard and long, if you trained like Killian, maybe you could have done an hour faster, which is a really nice compliment to him. But you trained massively, so I'm not sure if you could have trained any more. But nice thought, though.
Together.
What ambitions have you got on the bike going forward, Billy? Any events in the next year or anything? Any bike events?
Ambitions on the bike?
No, I'm going backwards on that, and I say, well, I'm 7'3", and I'm keeping myself in fair nick, but I've stopped trying to get any better anyway. I'm not that daft that I can't say that I'm not going to improve anyway at my age, and I'm not bothered. I'm really enjoying my biking. Get out with some lads and have a good crack and a ride about. I think Bob Whitfield just messaged and he's coming up with his daughter this weekend, and his message can we go out for a ride together, so that'll be good. Get together with Bob and have a crack. So maybe ride 50 miles or something like that. And, yeah.
I think that's good going. That's really good. So Billy, when I was reading the book, I was just struck how much time you spent in Borrowdale, and I just wondered about you. Did you ever want to travel like the world? I mean, Joss Naylor went to Pikes Peak and stuff like that. Did you ever feel like, oh, I want to get out of Borrowdale and do some races all over the world, or are you happiest racing in the Lake District?
Yeah, well, I mean, that wasn't an option. You leave school and you have to start work and earning your living, and swanning about all the world isn't. I haven't got parents who were going to pay for me going anywhere. I would have to pay for it myself, and I'm quite tight anyway. I kind of look after my money and happy where I was anyway. I mean, come home from work, put shorts on, go for a run, dear me, then get to bed and get up with plenty of petrol in your tank, ready to go again. Be it work or running or cycling or all three. Yeah, that's do me. I've been happy with my life. So.
That's awesome. And you've given me, readers of Trail Running Magazine and people on my channel, quite some good advice in the past on being better at running. Do you want to just reiterate some of those tips that you've given me in the past? I think one of them includes going to bed early.
Yeah, well, I'll stick with that one. But other than that, I think a lot of people think that I was a complete bloody clown for the way I train. And my answer to that would be, like it says in the book, the more you do, the better you get. And I think if people keep a diary and look at the end of the year, after 10 years of the career, which were the best years, I think they will coincide with the mileage, the most miles they've done in that year. And if that makes, well, that would be my philosophy anyway. And if it worked for me, I can't see why it won't work for somebody. But as for fell running, particularly, well, I say long distance, but didn't look on as long, 3 or 4 hour races. Probably heard me say this before, but speed training, I just can't get my head around why anybody would want to speed training when you win a race 6 miles an hour. What the bloody hell do you want to be running at 10, 12 mile an hour or more 15 sprinting? There's no place in sprinting in a 3 or 4 hour race. If you've any petrol left at the end, then and somebody was giving you a race, then you'd have to do your best towards a sprint in last 100 yards, but you couldn't keep it going much longer than that, could you? So I just can't get my head around this the reps and all that crap.
And I've heard that with your early bedtimes, Billy, I've heard that you have started going to bed at 7 p.m. So I think we have 1 more minute left with you. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I'll give you 10 minutes, but you've probably heard enough anyway.
Oh no, I was going to end it at 7. But yeah, no, I'm happy to keep chatting. That's amazing.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, Billy, you said it when I spoke to you in the book. Anyone trying to do a double Bob Graham round was nuts. I don't know what the word you used. Have you been following this guy John Kelly, who's doing all 3 big rounds now and cycling between them in one go? And what do you think of that kind of activity?
Yeah, well, I can see more sense in that. If you were interested in doing something long, then my thoughts on that was, rather than doing 2 Bob Grahams, go and do a John Kelly, or go and, if your name's Billy Bland, go and do a Billy Bland. Put your name to something different. Would be my thoughts on it. It's same, right? But that would be my thinking on it.
It's an awesome feat. I don't know how he's getting on. He's in the last round at the moment. So yeah, he's probably going to crack it. All 3 of them under 24 hours, I hope. So it's an awesome achievement.
Yeah, I looked just before we came on, and he was a few Monroes in. maybe Andrea will let you watch the tracker on her laptop when this is over, Billy.
Okay, Claire, I'm going to bed again.
You're going to bed in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, more frankly, yeah. So that I'm fresh and ready to go again tomorrow.
So what
People
time?
think that's sad, but it's all good. Pardon?
What time do you get up then?
Well, more or less with daylight, but no, well, that would be lying because it would probably daylight at 5:30. But if I look at clock and it's past 6 o'clock, then I get up. Best time of day, not many people do.
Yeah, it's really nice. It feels special at that time of day, doesn't it? We've got a question on the live chat, Billy. I don't know if you have got a favourite race. Rick Harwood would like to know.
A favourite race?
Yeah, a favourite race.
Yes, well, obviously the Borrowdale, but I mean, that's 20 years in or 30 years in or whatever, however many years it is now. I can't think, I wouldn't call it my favourite race now because I couldn't do it. I wouldn't get round.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that was my Olympics in a way. If you live in the valley and it is a fairly well-known race now, and if you could, I'd rather win that than anywhere else anyway. So.
Yeah. Do you go and watch it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, still help with Dog's Body that goes and puts flags out, finish flags and start flags and bring them back in, and and all is will as long as I'm fit to do it. So.
Yeah, the Borrowdale race is the best. And how has Borrowdale changed, Billy, over the years? Because you started off with no electricity and now you've got all mod cons, you've got Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. Me talking to you on this contraption. Yeah. I mean, even a week ago, I would have said, well, no, thanks. But here I am. Yes, they do change. Things in Borrowdale haven't changed for the better. And I could sit here and talk for a bloody week on it, but...
But it froze just at the right time.
Are we back on again? I think we lost connection.
Yeah, you're back now. It froze just as you said you could talk for a week about bad things in Borrowdale.
John, you maybe switch it off. Yeah.
That's what the computer said no.
What's that your soup and Steve? Dirty water or what?
It's one of these beery things, Bill. It's especially for you. It's a Trappist monk beer for you.
Tut. Water, mate.
Yeah, well, it was a celebration. It's a big moment for me getting this book published after
good
all
lad.
this time.
Yep.
Yeah,
well, I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you.
But, crap subject. Never mind.
Oh, get out of here.
It's really interesting. Like so many people are interested in your character, Billy, because you just say stuff how it is. And so many people these days, they just, it's all nicey. They just gloss over everything. So I think it's just a breath of fresh air. It's really nice to just hear somebody just go, well, you know what? This is what I think, and I'm right.
Yeah, great way to live your life, isn't it? Say what you think, and I don't go around with a bloody nameplate around my neck or to say who I am. It's that old world we live in.
So you're not on Instagram or anything then, Billy?
No, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Now he's in social media world.
Yeah. Well, Joss is on Instagram. Well, a Joss profile. Yeah, there's a profile for Joss on Instagram. I want to sort of write under the post, is this really Joss? But I don't want to be rude.
Is it what?
Is it really Joss? He's doing it himself.
Oh, right.
It can't be him.
I haven't a clue.
You never know, he could be a technological whiz.
No.
Yeah.
We've got another live question if you've got time for just a couple more, Billy. Ralacon says, what did you used to eat before you did a race? back in the day?
What did I eat? Get up, probably have cereal, not much out, but if the race, always eat 3 hours before the race so that you've gone through your stomach. Apart from that, I don't think it matters much what you eat. It's all fuel in it, and as long as it didn't sit in your stomach when you set off, because you'll not feel good if the blood's going to your stomach, processed food, and you'll go dizzy and things like that. So it's got to have gone through your system. Like, I'm not talking here as a doctor. I'm just I pick things up along the way. And when I first started running, I used to come home, have something to eat, and I mean something to eat as in my dinner, and set off down that Borrowed Road. And you would meet it is in dark. I'll be on White Line, by the way, Steve. And you'd meet a car coming, and because with the headlights in your eyes, because they were stressing your system, would you had them just eaten before you went out, blotches in front of your eyes when the car went past. Yeah. Now then, I learned to stop having the dinner, and then I could run down that road, look into car lights, and no blotches. So there's a little tip for somebody who's just starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not eat before you set off to do the exercise.
But you're underselling yourself a little bit, Billy, because in the book I explain how you, in the 80s, adopted carbohydrate loading before the big events, and you detail some of the ones that didn't work and some of the ones that did, because you fiddled around with that regime. So you were well aware of what you were doing in terms of your eating regime later on in your running career, certainly.
Well, if you don't learn something along the way, then you're a bit thick, aren't you? Yeah. Even me, being not the sharpest knife in the box, you pick up things, and a lot of people talk to me, and one word that really annoys me was, now then, I've seen a lot of so-called intelligent men with a fag in their mouth, yeah, and about 20 stone. Well, if they're intelligent, then I'm bloody pleased I isn't.
Yeah. And how and how important was it for you, Billy? Like, how much did you get from being a builder? Like, did that help you, that manual work? Because you've never had to, do any of this cross-training malarkey, have you? You just did a physical job.
Yeah, well, I would look on that as an advantage, actually. Bending down, picking stones up, you're touching your toes nearly every time you pick one up, and then lift it onto the wall or whatever. All exercise. Muscles need exercising. So no, I never ever saw it as a drawback.
Did it ever make you really tired, though?
Tired? Well, likely not. I went out training, so.
No.
What did I say about going to bed, Claire?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're going to be scandalised. I don't go to bed till like 12.
Come in from training, have something to eat, and go to bed.
So you have to redefine that expression. Work, run, bed.
Yeah. But when do you do your social media then, Billy?
Yeah, well, what time is it now, Claire?
It's 9:10 nearly. We're going to have to say goodbye soon.
What I do for you special people, I just
thank you.
Thanks, Billy. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on, Billy. It's lovely to see you, because I didn't get to, Keswick Mountain Festival obviously was cancelled, so we didn't get to ride together this year. Phew. Maybe next year when you're a little bit slower.
Yeah, good to see you both, and behave yourselves.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Billy.
Thank you. Bye, Billy. Thanks, Andrea, for letting your dad come on.
Bye.
Bye. We'll have to wait for them to turn it off now. There we go. That was Billy Bland, everybody, all the way from Borrowdale. How fantastic is that? So we're still here with Steve. So yeah, that was fantastic, wasn't it, Steve? We weren't sure if that was going to work, but it did. Phew.
What I love about Billy, he tells you when you're wrong. I used to say, I'm coming down Borrowdale to speak to you. Is that all right? He said, no, you're not. I said, well, why not? You're coming up Borrowdale. He insisted it was up the valley. So, yeah, just tell me when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But also, I tried to write some stuff in Cumbrian dialect, and he really ripped into me for that. So, yeah, don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, we should have got him to say something in the Cumbrian dialect just now.
Yeah, one of his best ones was you can't push a piece of string, which was, I thought, you can't make someone do something they don't want to do, which was a brilliant expression.
Yeah. I love in your book you've got a lot of quotes obviously from Billy because the book is about Billy, but all those quotes, because I've met him and talked to him and interviewed him quite a few times in the past, I can really hear his voice through the pages. And if you've not ever been to see Billy at Theatre by the Lake in Keswick or at Keswick Mountain Festival when he does these talks, then you really, really must go and see him speak, because he's just a really lovely chap, and he just, as we saw there, he just tells it how it is, and he's an awesome lad.
Well, just say, Claire, I've done about 3 different stage shows with him at various events, and he always says, don't tell me what your questions are going to be. I want it to be a surprise. And that works really well, because he is a very intelligent person, and he comes back with an interesting answer to anything you want to ask him. It's a fantastic thing, and he is really entertaining. So, yeah. Yeah,
he is fantastic. And that, I think it would be a good time now for us to hear a short reading from the book from you. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fab. Thanks. I'll sit here with my beer.
Got the book here. I'm reading direct from it. I'm going to go early. So I could have told you this is his upbringing. I could have told you about his family background, his father's influence, his upbringing, school days, and why he isn't a farmer. I'm not going to say any of that. It's a little bit about him when he was younger. Billy was born at Nook Farm, which is just up the road from where he lives now. He was born in number 5 bedroom on the 28th of July 1947. Life wasn't easy in the valley though. The Blands didn't get electricity at Nook Farm until 1960. That is when the Mains arrived after a long drawn out community campaign successfully lobbied for the installation of power. So that's the setting. Billy Bland and his brothers certainly got a lot of freedom granted to them by their parents, as evidenced by something he tells me about attending the Wasdale show, which is way over in the next valley, as many people will know. I go with my mother and father in a vehicle, and Stuart, maybe David, that's his 2 brothers, and I would run home over the Styhead Pass while they stayed for a drink. This was when I was at primary school, mind. Which fathers and mothers would set their kids off like that now? I'm sure I remember it right, but I could do 46 minutes to Seathwaite Yard from Burnthwaite, which is by the church in Wasdale. And that's one of his memories of being a child and being given that freedom whilst he was at primary school. Amazing, isn't it?
It is absolutely amazing. And just while you read that, I popped a picture up of Billy on there. It's black and white, which is a shame because I presume that he had bright red hair at that time as well.
Is that the one of him at school? Yeah.
Yeah. There's some really nice pictures. I love how it goes through the book, and you get from black and white, you get to colour. So if you want to see Billy's actual hair colour, it's much the same as mine. so yeah, there's a picture of Billy there with his bright red hair, and then later on when he's doing his cycling, still a little bit gingery just there, cycling for England there. I've been cycling with Billy, and he is a beast. Like he's in his 70s, I'm in my 30s, and he's a lot faster than me, so he's still got it.
His cycling ability is immense. I mean, he's a podium standard age group cyclist. If he went to the world's level, he's podiumed at the world's level, which is fantastic.
Yeah, he is amazing, and he did say to me that he, if somebody was putting it on and asked him to go along, then he would be interested in doing the Land's End to John O'Groats kind of cycle ride. So if anybody is interested in that, then definitely contact Billy. I was thinking, maybe my dad would do it, but my dad's not in the same league as Billy at all. So
do you want another bit from the book, or do you want any more questions?
Yeah, have you got time for another bit from the book? It
can either be something about his early racing or something about his thoughts on Borrowdale. It's up to you.
Should we go for his thoughts on Borrowdale? Just because a lot of people know about his racing and they can find that out quite easily, but this is a different thing. And then we'll just have a little chat with you about what's next for you, and then we'll leave it at that. And that's the book launched.
So this is just a little extract. I could have gone on about the story about the weatherman is in the book. What he thinks about some of the agencies who are operating in the Lake District, and his activism. He's an activist in certain areas that comes out that people obviously don't necessarily know about. But here's a little background. Direct from the book. Billy Bland has lived in Borrowdale all his life and has seen the many changes that have occurred in the last 7 decades. He has some very stringent views on what has happened and what is happening in Cumbria, and has a deep passion for the area and its landscape. At one of his talks, he was asked about the Lake District being a World Heritage Site. He's alluded to this earlier on. His reply was, "I could talk for a week on that subject. Just don't talk to me about politicians and that. The Lake District is seriously going backwards. Less wildflowers, no fish in the beck, and wants sorting out." We moved swiftly on at the talk as the audience were there for running banter, not a lecture. Later on, I had a conversation with him like this. He continues, really getting into his stride. "We could have the birds we used to have, and going even further back, eagles and pine martens. I knew plants because I collected wildflowers as a kid." Now that's a thought, isn't it? Billy Bland collecting wildflowers. It seemed to stick in me. If there is something round about you each day, do you not want to know its name? If I was born now, would I be interested in wildlife around me? Much of which isn't there anyway. So he's a very thoughtful and deep person when it comes to thinking about the environment. And he's got some stringent views, I might say, which are again come out in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it must be such a shock for somebody born without electricity to then come, like, he's been on the cusp of all those developments, hasn't he? He's seen everything, like right from no electricity to electricity, all mod cons, everything. And yes, it's a much easier way of life, but is it better for the wildlife and the environment around us? Probably not. It's like humans see it as going forwards, but it might not be the progress that we think it is, and I think that's going to pan out over the next 50 years for sure. But anyway, so you've obviously written this amazing 4th book, which we've launched tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. Go and get it in shops now, available presumably at all good bookstores, and maybe some of the bad ones as well. And I just would like to say thank you very much, Steve. And do you have any kind of ambitions for a 5th book, or any future type of books, any topics that you really want to cover?
No, I'm retiring there.
Really?
Not what you were expecting to hear, was it?
I hope not. You can't retire yet.
This prepared ad lib. I liken my thoughts on that book that's just come out to what rock bands say when their new album comes out. I think it's my best work yet. Other people will make their decisions on that. So I might stop while I'm on a high. But some things have happened recently that have triggered a really interesting thought for me to think about what I might write about next. And I've actually started the research. So I'm kind of, this is a world first for you, Claire, because I haven't really said this in public.
It's exciting.
So the latest edition of Fell Runner was the 50th anniversary edition, and Brenda Robinson wrote a piece about early ladies' adventures in fell running, and how it was difficult for them to get in. Very interesting perception of that. And what has happened recently with Beth Pascal taking the women's Bob Graham time, and Sabrina doing this fantastic time on the Wainwrights, which she didn't want to become a record because of how she suffered and had to have a bit of support. But there's been some brilliant performances, Jasmine Paris's, Nikki Spinks's. So I think, and I have thought for a long time, there's room for a history of women's involvement in fell and mountain running. I always used to say, I don't think I'm the person to write it, maybe it should be a woman. But several people have said to me, and that's wrong thinking. And so now I've actually started the research. And if Sandstone are listening, a synopsis is coming your way pretty soon. But yeah, so that's my plan, is to write that aspect, incorporating stuff that's happened more recently, but also the struggles that they had to get in to the sport and how they couldn't race. And it's mirrored in other parts of athletics with the marathons and the 800 metre limit and all this stuff. But I think it's a brilliant story, and I have now good network contacts to get to some of the people in the early days and interview people like Carol Greenwood and Ruth Pickvance and Helen Diamandidis, all those sort of people. So that's where I'm at. I've started the research. The file's open on my computer, and I'm on a roll. So hopefully that's something that will come along sometime in the future.
Awesome. I cannot wait to read that book in particular. I think just recently as well, there's been a real push over the last kind of probably 5 years about women's sport, women in sport, women running. So I think now is a really good time to do a book like that. And I think as a person who has so much store in the history of fell running, I think you're absolutely the right person to do that, Steve. You're great at the research, and you're great at putting it all into a nice, entertaining read. So yeah, that would be amazing.
I just had a message pop up on my iPad screen from, I think Helen Oyle's probably logged into this session, and she's saying, yes, Steve, go for it. So that's a friend who's given me a thumbs up for it, so that's even better.
Awesome. Well, we've got several people on the live chat saying yes, that would be amazing. So Guy, for example, says OMG, that would be an amazing book, please do write it. And Rich Simpson says cheers for all your work, Steve. He looks forward to getting and reading the book soon, and he says don't retire please, your new idea sounds ace. It's fantastic. Well, I just want to say a massive thank you to you for coming on tonight, Steve, and for launching your book with us here at Wild Ginger Running. It's been an absolutely fantastic night. I hope everybody has enjoyed the chat with Steve and the little chat that we had with Billy earlier on. The Wi-Fi was sketchy, but he got on and he said some pearls of wisdom there. So thank you so much, Steve. Good luck with the book sales, and hopefully we'll get you back on to launch your next book about women in fell running in a year or two's time.
Okay, can I just give a shout out to anyone who wants to know where to go and buy it?
Yeah, sure.
Sandstone Press, my publisher, we've got an online site where you can buy it directly from Sandstone Press. Google for them. The independent bookshop in the Lake District has been very helpful to me. Sam Reed, the bookseller in Grasmere, they've got a fantastic service via their online site. So they're another one to consider for making the purchases. Both of them, the publisher and the bookshop, have been very helpful to me getting this book out and about, which has been difficult, to be honest, in this particularly difficult time. So thanks to both of them.
Fantastic. Well, I'll put links to those in the film description below, so go there first. I'll do them just after we end the live broadcast, so go there first. And this will be a podcast as well. Oh, is it going to be an audiobook? We had a question about that. Is the book going to be an audiobook read by Billy?
I haven't actually done audiobooks for any of the books yet, so it's something I might consider. It's not necessarily in my hands. It might be something the publisher thinks or doesn't think is a worthwhile track to take. So thanks for the thought, and we'll certainly look at it.
Yeah, because a lot of runners will be wanting to read it. So like people are really into listening to podcasts on the run now, so listening to books on the run, it's a great way to digest that kind of information.
They are all Kindle versions, by the way, so all 4 of them are Kindle versions. Yeah.
As well. Okay, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much, Steve. I'll leave you to celebrate further. Are you going off out for some beers now then to celebrate?
Because Moira and I are going out for a celebrating meal tonight for the launch of the book with 2 very good friends of mine from the running club. So I'm celebrating and dressed for it. So, but it's really been. I really thank you for having us on and facilitating this, because it's just been good. With the difficulty of not being able to hold a normal one, having this, I hope, has got the message out, and people hopefully have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think everybody's enjoyed it very much. So thank you so much, Steve. And we'll say good night to everybody now. Good night, everybody.
Yes.